So next important topic in the last class itself, I told that is bacterial gene transfer. It's a very simple thing. I hope you people might have studied about it, but we will study it in a very crisp and very concept-based format. And the thing is, the bacterial gene transfer mechanism was a very old technique which was discovered by, accidentally discovered by R. Griffith, I think in 1950s. He discovered it. So the thing is, then people kept quiet. There was no big development happened, and people proved it. Yes, there will be transfer. But suddenly, this bacterial gene transfer took a lot of interest during 90s and early of 2000, maybe in the late 80s and early 90s, because people start doing this experiment in the lab. Just that's what we call biotechnology, genetic engineering. So, any madam is taking that part, genetic engineering part. So when we talk about the gene transfer there, then this topic again picked up. So people start thinking about it, how to introduce gene deliberately. See, naturally things will be happening. That will happen its own way. But you just imagine you want to introduce it deliberately. That means you want your gene to be inside the bacteria. So you just imagine in the morning you will wake up and you have an idea that I want to synthesize a glowing bacteria. I want to produce a glowing bacteria. So first you need gene for glowing, right? So that gene you are taking from maybe from glowworm. Glowworm gene you are taking. But how to put this gene inside the bacteria? That is the question. That is the gene transfer, right? You have to transfer this gene. So that's why we can use any technique. We can give a shock treatment to the bacteria. We can put them in a cold condition. We can give them a calcium treatment and cold calcium treatment. So whatever bacterial holes are created in the bacteria. So then bacteria may take up this gene. Then if it is successful transfer, the bacteria will grow. That's what happens, right? So that's the thing. That's why it is important, the bacterial gene transfer. Lots of applications are there. Today, what you see, genetically modified bacteria and all because of this transfer technology. Yeah, when we talk about the transfer can happen naturally, transfer can happen artificially. Most of the time, what we do it in the lab is the artificial way, not in the natural way. Natural way will take its own time, and the success rate of natural transformation may be very low. Because the natural things are like that. It happens in a very slow format, very steady format, and maybe a very successful one if it is a successful process. If it is a successful process, that will going to be a very successful one. But that is not in the lab. Lab, you cannot wait for 1 year to get a gene inside the bacteria. So you need a time. So this part, what I'm talking is, it's all about the genetic engineering part. Thus, I'm not covering, but I wanted to talk as a molecular biology students, what we can pick up from this concept, a bacterial gene transfer. And all these things were happening naturally. This is happening now. It will happen also in the future. But we are doing it in the lab. We are exploiting that. We are exploiting the technique. We are doing it in the lab. We are developing new kind of bacteria for our benefits. Maybe for some product, some pharmaceutical products, or maybe to produce some enzymes, or to produce some pigments, or to degrade something. I hope you may remember his name, Indian scientist Anand Chakrabarty. If you want, you can search it about him. He is the one who created a new variety of Pseudomonas bacteria. Pseudomonas putida, I don't know, maybe putida or something. Pseudomonas putida. He is not discovered. What he has done is, he took some gene, he tailored that gene and put the gene into the new bacteria and converted the bacteria. Those bacteria will eat this one, what you call are hydrocarbons. If oil spillages happen in the sea, if you put that bacteria there, that bacteria will eat this hydrocarbon and survive. That's the benefit of the gene transfer. Naturally, it may happen, but it will take time. Thousands of years, maybe hundreds of years. That time we won't be there. Maybe next generation will get benefited. That's why the lots of changes are there in the nature, right? Lots of changes. But when time changes, things will change and the technology will change. So we can exploit different technology to transfer gene in the lab. But what will happen naturally? That's what we study. We will study today only about natural things. We are not talking too much about artificial things. And don't get confused between genetic engineering and the molecular biology. Both are like a mirror images. But don't write answer of what you call genetic engineering in the molecular biology. Molecular biology, we will try to see it is in the natural format or in the natural way. because madam will also teach their transformation. So don't get confused between that transformation and this transformation. This is mostly natural transformation. We are not talking about artificial transformations. If you want, you can put it artificial transformations, but not so important. So in this one, gene transfer, there are three techniques. One is called a conjugation, then is called transformation, then a transcription. Why are putting conjugation first? Conjugation is little exceptional one. Conjugation is exceptional one because in case of conjugation, there is a direct connection between the bacteria. But transformation and transcription, there is no connection. There is no direct connection between the bacteria, donor bacteria and the recipient bacteria. Donor bacteria means the bacteria which donates its genome or maybe a portion of its genome. Recipient bacteria is the one which receives a portion of the gene. So, in transformation and transcription, there is no connection between these genes, I mean the bacteria, but in conjugation, there is a classical cellular connection, I could say. If I put in a classical cellular connection. Classical cellular connection in the sense, there will be a clear-cut bondage formation between two bacteria, between the donor bacteria and the recipient bacteria. Conjugation, I'll read something, at least you go through that because I just want people to understand this. Conjugation is the technique of transfer of genetic material from one bacteria to another bacteria. They are placed in a close contact. That was the idea initially. If you keep two bacteria in a close contact, those two bacteria forms the cellular connection and they transfer their gene. And it was discovered by Liederberg and Thornton. It's long back. They discovered that the F factor can move between E. coli. That is, F factor means fertility factors. The name of this F factor is a fertility factor that can move from bacteria A to B. And first they studied in E. coli because most of the concepts what we study today, it's all happened in E. coli because it is easy to grow and easy to see the results also, and it is not pathogenic as we think they are not. All the strains of E. coli are not pathogenic. I mean, there are pathogenic strains, but all the strains are not pathogenic. So conjugation is the technique of transfer of gene between two bacteria through a cellular connections, and it was discovered by Liederberg and Thornton. So the things which move is called as fertility factors. So we will look at the mechanism how the conjugation is happening. So in nature,
sir, we can only see 3/4 of your screen, sir. Like the ending part, we cannot see the side, left side part.
The left side part you cannot see. I don't know what is the problem today. So I'll close it and I'll present it again. Okay. Yeah, I'll present it.
Okay,
again.
sir.
Then yeah, there may be some technical issues. Now, can you see full slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah, full slide is visible. Picture is visible, no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir. It is.
Yeah. This picture is very important. If you understand this picture, then done. It's very 4-sentence work. I mean, conjugation is very, very simple. So, naturally, I told there is a F plus bacteria, there is a F minus bacteria. F plus bacteria will have a pilus. Pilus is also called as sex pili. So there will be a pilus. There will be a hair you can just mention. So there will be a hair which is made up of protein. Pilin, I think that protein. So it is like a small projections will be there. Don't get confused with flagella. Okay, flagella is different. Flagella will help in mobility, motility of a bacteria. So this pilus won't help in mobility, but it mainly helps in conjugation. So it's like our own hair. In our body, there are hairs, like that hairs will be there on the bacteria. If hairs are there, we call them as F plus 1. And this F plus 1 bacteria will have that plasmid will be there. You can see that in blue color. There is a plasmid. Okay. So one bacteria, there is no like naturally F plus, F minus, but we, for the study purpose, we named it like that. One is F plus, another is F minus. Means F plus will have a plasmid, F minus won't be there. So we call F plus as a male one and F minus as a female one. So what happens, this male and female form a kind of connection, a cellular connection with a pilus. So pilus is used by donor cell to hold the recipient cell together. And once they are close or nearby, then the cellular connection forms because both the molecules are same. Cell surface molecules are same. If the surface molecules are same means you just take water, one glass of water, put another glass of water and take one glass of water and take small jar, put another glass of water, and both the glass water will mix each other, right? Same thing will happen here because they are genetically same molecule. I mean the molecular nature is same, biomolecules are same, so they will mix. Peptidoglycan layer will be that they mix each other, form acellular connections. So once it forms the cellular connection, what happens? This double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA, what you call plasmid, no? Plasmid means double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA. That is not chromosomal DNA, that is an extra chromosomal DNA, which is double-stranded. So there will be a molecule called relaxosome and transferosomes. Those two are enzymes. Relaxosomes and transferosomes will be there, which will cut one strand and relax that plasmid and allow this plasmid, portion of a plasmid to move to the recipient cells. So now what happens? The recipient cell will have a small portion of plasmid, and donor cell will also have. Then what happens? Both the cell will synthesize second strand, new strand is synthesized. So both the plasmid will become double strand. Now both the cell will become F plus. So now the new F plus will donate to another F minus. So this is the connection. So there will be naturally F plus and F minus cell. F plus cell will have a plasmid. Plasmid is a double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA, circular double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA. That thing you should remember. It is a circular, a double-stranded extra chromosomal DNA. So F plus and F minus cell come together with the help of pilus. Pili will help this donor cell to hold the recipient cell. Then it forms a cellular connections. Relaxosomes and transferosomes will pass this one portion of the one strand of this what you call plasmid to the next recipient. So recipient will have a one strand, donor will have a one strand. Both the recipient and donor will synthesize the second strand. So both will become new donors. So you can see in both the strand there are chromosomal DNA, there are extra chromosomal DNA or the plasmid DNA and pili also. So the F minus will become F plus. This is the mechanism of conjugations. For your better understanding, what I have done is I put this one again in the sentence. See, the first step what is happened, the pilus formation. The donor cells form a sex pilus and begin contact with F recipient cell. You have to write it like this. Mechanism when you write, you have to write it like this. Donor cell form a sex pilus and begin contact with F minus cell. Physical contact between donor and recipient cells are important. The pilus form a conjugation tube. They are called as scientifically they are called as a conjugation tube, and enables direct contact between the donor and the recipient cell. That is the second step. First is the pilus formation. Second is the physical contact. Third is the transfer of F plasmid. F plasmid are fertility factors. The F factor opens at the origin of replication. One strand is cut at the origin of replication and the 5' end enter the recipient cell. That means now you have an idea of what is origin of replication. Origin of replication is the place from where the replication starts. There it cuts one strand and release the strands into the next recipient. Release is not sufficient. One strand is here, one strand is there, but it should be double strand. So synthesis of complementary strand. The donor and the recipient strand both contain a single strand of F plasmid. Thus, a complementary strand is synthesized in both the recipient and the donor. So that means a complementary strand is synthesized in both in the recipient and the donor. The recipient cell now contains a copy of F plasmid and becomes a donor cell. So that is important. So pilus formation, the donor cells form a sex pilus and begin contact with the recipient cell. There will be a physical contact with them through a conjugation tube. Then transfer of plasmid by cutting from the origin of replications. One strand is cut at the origin of replication and it will push it to the next recipient molecule. And synthesis of complementary strand. The donor and the recipient strand both contain a single strand of F plasmid. Thus, a complementary strand is synthesized in both the recipient and the donor. The recipient cell now contains a copy of F plasmid and becomes a donor cell. Now, both the cells are donor. It can continue the cycle. So, this is the way how the cycles will continue. So this is the way how cycles will continue, and the process of what you call conjugation will happen in the body. So now the next important thing you should remember is these 4 steps. These 4 steps you should not forget. How the sex phylus is formed, how the physical contact is happening, how the breakage is happening in the one strand of F plasmid, and how the gene is transferred and the complementary strand is synthesized. This much if you remember, then the conjugation is done. Conjugation is simple process. Before closing conjugation, I'll show you the picture one more time. So because I want you people to understand it in a very simple way. If you see books and other things, there are complicated way. I don't want to understand you people concepts in a very complicated way. We'll study it in a very basic way. Once you understood what is conjugation, then you can make it how much complicated by putting masalas and other things. That is all secondary. But this is the basic thing. There will be 2 bacteria, one is F plus, F minus. There will be a pilus on F plus. So they form a connection. It's called conjugation tube. So through conjugation tube, from the origin of replication, the plasmid is moved to the next one. So it's like relaxosome and transferosomes are there. Because I did not mention this one in the text because this is high-end studies. Relaxosomes are there. Then what is the function of relaxosomes will come? What is the function of transferosomes are come? If you want, you can study. But as per my understanding, that is not so important for us. For us, how the mechanism happens is important. So then what happens? Both the complementary strand will synthesize. So it will become, the bacteria will become a new donor bacteria. Bacteria will become a new donor bacteria. So I hope you all understood what is conjugations. Then we'll go to the next important thing, transformations. Today I hope I'll cover 2 things. One is conjugation and one transformation. If possible, transcription in the next class. Transformation is not, it is a lucky process, I could say, because bacteria will be simply moving in the nature, maybe in the streams, or maybe in the soil, or maybe in the human surface. Somewhere it picks up some genes. That genes are not deliberately you are introducing inside, you are not putting inside, or else the nature is not putting inside. Some accidentally these things will happen. That's why you can see, sometimes in the natural change in vegetable color, change in flowers color, change in something in the bacterial antibiotic resistance. All those things are evolving. So transformation is also kind of. So there is no direct contact between the recipient or donors. There is only recipient cells. So it is a process of a genetic transfer that does not require a physical contact between the donor and the recipient. Transformation is a process of gene transfer between 2 bacteria without a physical contact. Without a physical contact. So it's a process of genetic transfer that does not require a physical contact between the donor and the recipient. In the process of transformation, the donor cell releases its, in the process of transformation, the donor cell lyses, the donor cell will lyse and release its DNA. That is the way. Naturally what happens, so some cell, bacterial cell will die, so that will release its bacteria. That is the source for the transformation. Those released the bacterial genome, or maybe a fragment of genome, or fragment of plasmid, anything, maybe enter inside the new bacteria. That's what you call transformation. So this is the way how transformation happens. So in transformation, there are natural transformation, there are artificial transformation. I am talking only about natural transformation. That is naturally happens. But what is artificial transformation? That's what we do in genetic engineering. What we do is we give a kind of shock to the bacteria, electric shock. So what happens? Bacteria will open its pores through which the gene can enter. You can push your gene inside, or else treat with cold calcium chloride. So what happens? It will increase. It will increase what you call entry of genome. The chances of entry of DNA inside the cell. So that possibilities are there. So that is the important thing which is very much happening in the laboratory, but naturally that is not the process. So today we will study natural one, because the last year I have seen, okay, the one important thing you should remember, if I ask a transformation in molecular biology, you have to write natural one, because most of the time last year I was teaching both the subjects. So what happened is students were writing artificial for natural, natural for artificial. So what happens if I ask transformation in biotechnology paper, they will write natural one. If I ask the transformation in the molecular biology paper, they'll write artificial one, and then the people used to argue, sir, it is correct. Yes, logically it is correct, but natural will put it in molecular biology, artificial will put it in what you call genetic engineering, because genetic engineering is the artificial process. We are doing it in the lab. Naturally may be happening, but most of the time we will do it in the lab. So we give more importance to artificial way there. Don't get confused this year because different faculties are teaching, so that confusion won't be there, I feel. That's what I always tell. Transformation, don't get confused. Today I'm teaching only natural one. Yes, DNA uptake. So in natural transformation, there is the important process is DNA uptake. The process of taking DNA into the recipient cell through a process of transformation from the donor cell. That is a DNA uptake process. Process of taking DNA into the recipient cell through the process of transformation from the donor cell. So there is a donor cell, but ideally there is no donor cell. I could say there is a donor cell, but ideally there is no donor cell. That means a bacteria, that cell is not what you call deliberately giving a gene to another bacteria. It is after its death, or maybe because of UV light, or maybe because of high temperature, it will get degraded, and its genome is there somewhere in the water, or maybe in the soil, or maybe skin surface. So ideally, you cannot call them as the donor cells, but as for the understanding the concept, we can call them as the donor cells. Those are the cell whose gene material is transferred to the recipient. We call them as the donor cells. A recipient cell who receive the genetic materials. Cell who receive the genetic material, we call them as recipient. I hope the donor recipient concept is very clear. Next, the important thing in transformation is competency. Competency means it is the ability of a recipient cell to take up the genome. So competency, that means in our college, I mean, when we talk, we say enhance the competency of the students. That means capacity building. The bacteria should need that capacity to absorb genome from outside. So when bacteria lies, they release considerable amount of DNA into the surrounding environment. These fragments may be relatively large, may be small, contain several genes. If fragment contact a competent cell, one will able to take up DNA and be transformed. It can be bound to the cell and taken inside. The transformation frequency of very competent cell is around 10 raised to 3 for most genera when excess of DNA is used. That means if too much of genome is available outside, bacteria may take up. If 1 or 2, then collision, then taking it inside, chances are very low. We'll see how the mechanism happens. That is about 1 cell in every 1,000 will take up and integrate the gene. 1 cell in every 1,000, it's a research work I'm putting here. That is 1 cell in every 1,000 will take up and integrate the gene. Competency is a complex phenomenon and it depends on several conditions, where it is growing. So, for example, I'm thinking like Salmon Streptococcus pneumoniae becomes competent during the exponential phase of its growth. I don't know how many of you have an idea. When you culture a bacteria, maybe in the natural system or maybe in the artificial system, there is a growth curve. For us also it is like that, no? There is a baby stage, maybe a child, maybe 15 years, then 50 years, then the age decreases and finally we will collapse. So same thing like bacteria, maybe in 24 hours, there is a lag phase. Lag means a growing phase. There is sudden growth, that is called log phase, then stationary phase. Like that, there is a exponential phase means log phase, the large population production phase. That means and very good nutrition is available. Today it might be 10, for tomorrow it may be millions. So that if it is like that, then the competency of that bacteria is high in exponential. How it will release a factor, protein called competence factor that stimulates the production. So that means maybe an environmental condition or the nutrition what we provide, or maybe the growth stage. In case of Streptococcus pneumoniae, it is the exponential phase where it can take up large quantity of gene. So that is what the competency. But in artificial competency, we enhance by shock, calcium chloride treatment. But naturally, this is the way. how the things are happening. Sorry for the inconvenience. This picture is little blur because when I was downloading, I did not get a high-end 1080p picture. This is 9720 picture, I think. When I expanded, it has become little blur. You don't worry about it. I'll be providing. I hope I'll be providing a very good picture for your notes. Possibly providing a very good picture. This is the way how the things are happening. So when a bacteria collide with a double-stranded DNA outside, what happens? Whole our double-stranded DNA won't enter. There will be a receptors on the DNA binding. There will be a DNA binding complex protein will be there on the surface of a recipient cell. So the double-stranded DNA will bind there. Once it is bound, what happens? Both the strand won't be allowed inside. Only one strand is allowed inside. Another strand is degraded by nuclease enzymes or DNA enzymes. There will be enzyme in the DNA binding complex, that is nucleotide breaking enzyme. So it will break one strand. It will allow only one strand to enter. So it is like on the surface of a bacteria, there is a receptor. Receptor is a DNA binding complex protein. So that protein will take up this double-stranded DNA. While pushing this double-stranded DNA through the channel, it will allow only one strand DNA to enter. Second strand, what happens? The second strand will be degraded. Only one strand will enter. Once the strand is entered inside, that strand may integrate it into the genome or may not integrate it into the genome. That means if it is integrated into the genome, then we call it successfully transformed bacteria. So first thing is it binds the surface of the receptor. Second thing, it enters inside. Once it is entered inside, one strand is broken and only one strand is allowed inside. Last step is the successful entered single-stranded genome is integrated into the host genome. And if successfully integrated, then we call it as a transformed bacteria. So naturally, there is no technique to see whether bacteria is transformed or not. But I mean, artificially we have. What we can do is, you have a genome. To that genome, you can tag with some molecule, some colorful one, some chemicals, or maybe some radioactive molecules. Then if that genome is entered inside the host genome, then you can identify it by using some techniques, measuring some techniques. That is artificial, I'm telling you. But naturally, as such, there is no technique. Naturally, we cannot identify whether natural gene is inside or whether integrated or not. Maybe this kind of transformation helping this bacteria to survive in a better way in the natural conditions, survive in a better way. Maybe like surviving for longer duration at drought, or maybe less nutrient weather, or shifting from a normal to dormant stage, and many things are there. And antibiotic resistance also. So it's there, it's not so very simple thing, and we cannot put it in a single frame and study the transformation. This is the benefit, but there is a very broad view of benefits are there because of this what we call transformation. So next we'll go to the transcontamination. The mechanism of transformation has been extensively studied in what we call Streptococcus pneumoniae. A competent cell binds a double-stranded DNA fragment if the fragment is moderately large. The process is random, not specific, and the donor fragment compete with each other. The donor is then cleaved by the endonuclease to double-stranded fragment about 5 to 15 kilobases in size. Kilobases means 5,000 to 15,000. Kilo means 1,000, okay? 1,000 base pairs. That means 1,000 nucleotides. DNA uptake requires energy expenditure. One strand is hydrolyzed by an envelope associated exon, stranded associated with small proteins and move through the plasma membrane. So this is the uptake what I already explained. This single-stranded fragment can then align with the homologous region of the genome, can be integrated. But there is no guarantee that 100% integration will happen. Don't get confused, because even in the lab with the forceful all technique and what you deliberately want to introduce also, there is a chance of unsuccessfulness. It is like that. It is not so easy the way we think, but naturally it will happen. Naturally it will happen because natural competency cell will develop sometimes, maybe during the growth period, or maybe due to some nutrition, or maybe due to the edaphic or environmental conditions. So all those factors will help this bacteria to achieve natural competency. Then it binds double-stranded DNA. then take up only single stranded DNA by degrading another strand, then it may integrate it into the genome, and then it start expressing it. So then what happens? This donor bacteria is a new bacteria now because it has got extra genome. If that genome is expressed, it can show a different characters than original one. That's why that's what I always want to tell. That's what we call evolution. Okay, somewhere some genome you are putting inside the bacteria naturally. So that bacteria will evolve. Because of that bacteria may strive in a very low nutrition or may strive with multi-drugs, may be more infectious, or maybe very papa, I could say very, very fragile one. Anything, it can be turned to anything. So that possibilities are there. So this is what the transformation means. So before going to transduction, I wanted you all to remember one way of gene transfer is conjugation. Conjugation, there will be a connection. F factors play important role. So F plus and F minus through pilus it holds together. Then it forms a conjugation tube. Then one fragment is broken and it enters the next. That means the recipient one. Recipient and donor will synthesize both the strand. Then recipient will become a new donor. So now only 2 F plus are there and the cycle will continue. That's what the phylus formation, physical contact, transfer of F plasmid and synthesis of complementary strand. This is the steps involved in conjugations. Now, next thing is a transformation. So transformation is a process of horizontal gene transfer or something like that. The process of transferring gene without any what you call physical contact. So the donor will release the DNA that will be taken up by recipient cell based on its competence. So if a cell is competent, it will take up. Natural competency is depends on environmental condition or growth phase. So how it will take up? There will be a receptors on the surface of what you call recipient cells. It will bind that DNA. One strand is allowed to go inside. The second strand is broken down. Once the strand is inside, successfully inside, single strand is successfully inside the bacteria, that strand may integrate it into the genome. Then if the strand is successfully integrated, then it may express in the bacteria. Or else, the bacteria is called as untransformed. If it is successfully integrated and expressed, we call them as a transformed bacteria. Hope I'll stop it here. Already it is 10:35. So I'll stop it here today's class. Tomorrow we'll Monday.